Before watching Bocchi the Rock, I'd have to admit that despite living in Japan and reviewing the music here, I'd never really paid much attention to anime before. But with the girls rock band scene that has taken over the country during the last decade or so, it was inevitable that there would eventually be a smart, homegrown series that would take a look at what it means to become a musician in modern day Japan. And so, we have Bocchi the Rock. But how accurately does it convey this music scene? Are the characters and storyline entertaining in their own right? And can it win over someone like me with a love for the subject matter but little familiarity with the anime medium, apart from, the Studio Ghibli films we've all seen and clips of stuff like Dragon Ball Z? We'd call it Z in England. Well, after watching the first 2 episodes, I would say it's made a damn good start. See, the story starts by painting the picture of high schooler Hitori Goto, who, since a young age, struggled to communicate with classmates due to a crippling anxiety. However, after being inspired by music on the TV, she uses her father's guitar to study in the back room of the family home, eventually improving and then uploading cover songs to the internet and gaining thousands of followers online under her pseudonym Guitar Hero. I mean, she literally has 30,000 subscribers, and my main YouTube channel has just over 1,000. So I started the story almost feeling jealous of her. See, despite this, she's actually quite a sympathetic character. See, her only real problem, she still hasn't managed to make any real-world friends, or even make eye contact for that matter, let alone showing off her guitar skills in person, and certainly not forming the dream band that she imagines will both make people like her and allow her to share her passion for music. So, one day, with all that pressure of having made no real progress in real-world interactions for years, a frustrated Hitori plucks up the courage to bring her guitar to school and sit it beside her desk, hoping that someone will just ask her about it or make some kind of interaction or communication with her. However, despite the confidence it took to even show that she had a hobby, her passive approach to her classmates means she leaves school alone once again. Well, except being briefly noticed from afar by a more popular student, which is clearly something we're supposed to remember for later. And yeah, I saw the music video already. I know that character becomes the singer. Spoiler alert. So anyway, after leaving school, and in a genuinely touching scene, Hitori then goes to sit outside in a park where she sees a middle-aged man also sitting alone looking down at the floor. And even though they don't communicate, you can see that she feels a companionship in their shared, separate isolations. Well, until his wife and child appear from nowhere, greeting him before they walk off together as a family. In light of what happens next, this scene felt rather poignant, as it kind of implied her wondering if it wouldn't be weird to just stay the same, stay isolated, pondering over if her future is even worth changing. How seeing another person looking alone and left out kind of made her feel that maybe her future is just a inevitable isolation, and yet when he walks away with his family looking happy, she just feels more alone than before, more hopeless than before. But in true first episode of a series style, just as Hitori couldn't possibly feel any more detached from her hopes and dreams, an upbeat stranger called Nijika runs across from out of nowhere to inquire about the guitar on Hitori's back, then explaining that her band needs a guitarist urgently for a gig that very night. And so, the Bocchi adventure begins. Although the first 2 episodes are effectively telling the story of this band getting together and kind of showing what the various members do, where they live, how they practice their music, what makes Bocchi the Rock so engaging from the get-go is undoubtedly the exploration of Hitori's character and her desperate efforts to grow as a person. Sure, it has the feverish pace and niche story premise that kick off most of the animes that I've seen 2 episodes of before promptly abandoning, and yet here the focus is very much on the journey of Hitori, who later earns the nickname Bocchi, hence the title of the series. Everything is told from her perspective, both narratively and visually. She drifts out of conversations and into her paranoias whilst people are still talking to her, having become fixated on perhaps one potentially negative line they said, and then imagining all the social ramifications and consequences from what was potentially just a very throwaway statement from another character. This was beautifully depicted in the band's first practice after being slapped together with no warning and just turned into a three-piece in a practice room. The trio play their first song together in the practice room with Hitori, who they've just met, and then afterwards Hitori asks them how it went. Now see, drummer Nijika and bassist Ryo are very honest and feel the performance was a little bit messy, but upon saying that, this causes Hitori to collapse in a ball on the floor and call an end to the episode. That's right, the title music starts playing, the credits start going up the screen, and Nijika actually has to jump in and stop the episode from ending to remind Hitori this is not the end. A wonderful demonstration of Hitori's rather fatalistic approach to any form of human interaction. Then, in another moment, after the trio actually do agree to be a band together, Hitori joins Ryo and Nijika working at a local venue to make money for their band. However, Hitori is so frightened of making eye contact with people, she serves them drinks from literally behind the bar, as just a hand peeping up with beverages and putting them on top. From the way that the art style changes to reflect Hitori's moods, to her over-the-top behaviour to try and avoid any form of social situation, all the way through to the wonderful imagery as we drift off into her imagination, it really is Hitori's personality that drives the storyline forwards. And what's so beautiful about that is you're both given the chance to feel empathetic towards her and feel her struggle, and yet at the same time you're allowed to kind of laugh and have a bit of amusement at just how over-the-top and hyperbolic her behaviour can become in trying to disappear away from the world whilst also trying to conquer it. It would be fair to say that in a lesser writer's hands, Hitori could become an annoying and hopeless character. However, this is combated with the gleefully colourful way in which she pictures all of her depressing thoughts, and most notably by the fact that she never gives up. Sure, she tries to do things like avoiding taking the venue job, offering her savings even to get out of it, trying to make herself ill before her first day, even hiding under the table once the day has actually started. But by the end of her first day at work, she's inspired enough by her dreams and by her friends to make a significant step forwards, making eye contact with a customer and serving them herself. She never makes her own problems into an excuse. Yes, they are crippling, maybe even a little bit illogical, and yet at the same time she combats them. She wants to fight them. She can't help but give in to the huge mountain in front of her at a lot of turns, but doesn't stop her fighting to be a better person and be the person who she wants to be. However, for all the focus on Hitori's character in the first two episodes, we've only really been introduced to three other characters so far. The aforementioned Ryo, Nijika, and Nijika's sister, Seika, the rather stern venue manager where they all work. Thus far, they have been entertaining, if somewhat two-dimensional. See, Nijika is the high-energy, optimistic driving force who really pushes both Hitori and the narrative along. Ryo is a girl of few words, but with a dry sense of humour and no concern about what anyone else thinks, adding a strong, silent type to the mix. And well, as of episode number 2, all we know about Seika is that she is strict but caring boss. I'm actually particularly interested to see how this supporting cast of characters develop over the course of the coming episodes, but I especially hope that they are kind of fleshed out in a natural way. I fear the stereotypical tragedy backstory drop that anime is kind of known for in stereotypical circles. Yeah, like suddenly Hitori will get the confidence to maybe sell a lemon chew-hi to a customer, then in that moment of triumph, Nijika will look down. The piano music will begin, everything will go black and white, and she'll tell the story of how her father was horribly killed by a rogue combine harvester whilst picking lemons to pay for his wife's brain surgery, and then Nijika will leave the band in tears. Yeah, that's the kind of thing. So long as there's nothing heavy-handed like that, okay, maybe nothing that dramatic, but frankly, I think this story is developing beautifully as a tale of a group of friends. So if it continues like that, with no need for unnecessary revelations or such, then I'll be over the moon. I mean, obviously, I am looking forward to whenever they realise that Hitori and Guitar Hero are one and the same, considering that Nijika has been watching Guitar Hero's videos online without knowing it's the same person. They're all kind of just shot from like waist height at the guitar. I mean, I can't wait to see how that girl in the hallway eventually joins the band, but these are all threads that are set up and await a payoff. They're not forced drama. And that is where Bocchi the Rock seems to really be excelling. For all the visual style and funny characters, it just feels natural. It kind of feels real. Which brings us neatly onto the musical side of things, although there has been very little music actually in any of the episodes thus far to speak of. And although we have heard very little performance in these first couple of episodes, the musician's world has been painted beautifully. As I said in my reviews of the music video on my other channel, the venue, Starry, is a beautiful depiction of what an actual Tokyo live house looks like, especially in Shimokitazawa. It's not made to be something more than it should be. It looks genuinely like a place that you could walk into right now in one of those districts. There are also some fun moments where cartoonish overlays describe concepts such as what bands need to do to make a profit from live houses, as well as the perceived structure of a normal band. Although this is the area where I maybe have more experience, I can't help but feel that they describe the world of Japanese underground music as well as I could, if in a slightly more high-pitched and visually flamboyant style, but yeah, it's really well described. And really well painted. Now, yes, the story does have a lot of rather convenient contrivances, even thus far. I mean, Nijika just happens to cross Hitori at the perfect moment when they first meet, and whilst needing a guitarist immediately, Nijika's sister just happens to manage a venue that gives them both employment and somewhere to play music and make money for their band, and Hitori seems to have a functional and supportive middle-class family and no clear reason for being so cripplingly anxious. However, most of these things can be given over to a sort of suspension of disbelief, given how well the story pushes forwards with its premise. I mean, none of these things are impossible, they're just kind of convenient ways to start the story. And frankly, Bocchi the Rock is a pleasure to watch. A piece that knows how to describe anxiety by exploring a colourful imagination. An anime that can showcase the struggles of amateur musicians by revelling in their resilience and hope. A story that mostly takes place in a minimum wage basement and yet bursts forwards with joy. It's the sort of thing that could only be written by people who love what they're writing about. So given the choice of writing any more of this review or going and watching the next 3 episodes, well,